If you want to have a thriving relationship, even though you have eczema, today I am going to tell you how. The truth is, you don't actually know when you're going to heal from your eczema. So waiting until you heal, until you enjoy your relationships, you could be waiting a long time. Now here's the secret. The most common mistake people make when it comes to their relationships and eczema is to think their eczema is what's ruining their relationships, or that their eczema is what's making them insecure. And if they didn't have eczema, all would be right with their world. And maybe not. This really couldn't be further from the truth. And today I am unpacking it all. The unsolicited comments, even how to deal with frustrating people that just don't get it. I got all your responses locked and loaded. Are you one of the few? This is the channel for you. My name is Victoria, and I've had eczema for almost 40 years. And out of those 40 years, I've been married for 18 of them. I know what it's like to be covered in a full body flare and then have your spouse be like, babes, let's go on a date. I look like Freddy Krueger. What do you mean, go on a date? Comment down below if you ever had your significant other ask you to go out and you just looked at them like, do you see me right now? All right, let's talk eczema and relationships. 18 years of marriage and just, I dated before I got married. So here are some of the issues that I have experienced or ran into over 18 years of marriage when it comes to having my eczema and being in a long-term relationship, all right? So the first thing is internal insecurity, okay? How you look, basically. Reconciling the fact that I look like I am part lizard and part elephant. It's a tough pill to swallow, especially when it comes to meeting someone new, or even if your eczema maybe pops up in the midst of your relationship, now you're looking different. There's a lot of insecurity surrounding that. You look different than the rest of the world. That's okay, because you are one of the few. How do you overcome this insecurity of what you look like? I'll tell you guys a little story, and I call it table talk. Imagine you basically you want to go purchase a table, and you have there's the beautiful table and then there's just a simple table. Now, of course, everyone's eyes go for the beautiful table. We want the table that meets all the aesthetic, qualities. You go to the table, you go to sit down, you put your weight on the table and everything falls. You don't want this table anymore just because it's beautiful, it's insecure, and we don't have time for insecurity. A table is not for just looks. It has purposes to fulfill, like being able to withstand the weight of life, the weight of me. Look over at the more simple, well-built table. You sit at that, you eat, you put your weight on her, and guess what? She is built securely. She doesn't fall under pressure. She's the table. She's gonna be the winner chicken dinner because she's secure. Now, what made the table secure? It had nothing to do with the table looked like, but everything to do with what the table is built and made of. And this is what it comes to in relationships. A lot of people think that, yes, we are immediately drawn to what someone might look like, but that is short-lived. And eventually, what becomes more important to us is what we are made of. And people with eczema really have to hone into that, because I think we spend way too much time just thinking about the exterior. And people who are in relationship with us, they've already overcome that hurdle. They already chose you. They're already attracted to you as you, right? And if they're not, and if they're giving you a hard time, anyway, we'll talk about that later. So I'm going to have to radically just accept it is what it is. I show up here on the internet, no makeup, other than some mascara. I bear it all. And oddly, that actually gives me more confidence. Radically accept who you are. And you got to learn to work on you. So whether that means writing, drawing, being more interesting, work on the things you like so you have something to offer the world. I realized I have something to offer the world than just what I look like. I am more than what meets the eye. My beauty goes more than skin deep, and as does yours. The thing about just ripping that band-aid off and just showing the world and the people in my day-to-day life, I don't shy away from my skin. It gives me a confidence, and it also gives me confidence in my relationship with my spouse. It has not always been that way. I haven't always felt amazing about having my eczema. I have definitely had my moments of insecurity. That's why I'm here to talk to you guys. Lean into it. Lean into the fact that you have eczema, okay? Lean into it, and it's like you rip off the Band-Aid. Hey, what can we do? What can we do? Work on you, you're gonna be great. Now, in relationships, there's of course a physical component of being in a relationship that can be uncomfortable when you have eczema, okay? And this is PG channel, so I'm gonna keep this very PG, but when your body is flaring, it's very difficult to have people in your space. Comfortable even to have someone else touch you, maybe their body chemistry, and just things like you're oozing, you're flaking, you're just like, this is not the time. This is a new relationship. Of course, this person already knows you have eczema. So just know that, like, if they've met you, they've pursued you, they're interested in a relationship with you, they already know. You're not hiding it from them. And it doesn't really matter to them as much as it does to you. It's your job to educate and instruct the person or the people in your life about your eczema. That is your job, because they don't know. They don't know, for example, that you're allergic to dust. So when they come home from their construction job and they want to come in and give you a hug and kiss right away and they're filled with dust, that will actually send you into a flare. It is your job to let them know that. The average person, sure, they can live with the dust. They can live with all the things. We can't. We are like sensitive to the world, and that's okay. That's why we have to educate and instruct. What I would encourage you to do is have a little sit down with your significant other, or even the people, friends, family, whoever it is in your life that you're just feeling like this eczema thing is becoming a barrier with, and you are going to talk to them about all things eczema, okay? You're going to tell them what you can eat versus what you can't eat, the products you can use versus what you can't use. These things feel like common sense to a few of us, right? But to them, they don't know. They don't know. They don't know. They got regular skin. They're not one of the few. It is your job to explain to them what your unique protocol is. And don't feel bad about it. Just share. You just feel kind of like you're walking on eggshells when it comes to your eczema. Sit them down. Say, we're gonna have a date and I'm gonna tell you all about this thing that I've been struggling with. And I think it would be very enlightening to them and a sigh of relief for you. One thing I know about eczema people, not everybody, but comment down below if this resonates with you, is that many people with eczema have a psychological subconscious pattern of internalizing everything. I don't want to be a bother. I like to tell people about these things, but you know what? In just sharing that, and one day just sitting down with people that you love and be like, hey, okay, you keep giving me this hand cream, guess what? It's got this in it and I can't use it anymore. That could just relieve you like of a lot of internal pressure, which might actually bring your stress levels down, which could help your skin get better, okay? So you don't need to hold this burden all by yourself. And I think a lot of people were embarrassed. We don't want to say like, oh, sorry, I can't use hand sanitizer, not because I'm nasty, but because that stuff burns. Bring that awareness into the world. The next area that I think that people struggle with in terms of relationships and eczema is perception issues. Back to the full body flare, right? I'm flaring from head to toe. Probably when I was in topical steroid draw, I look awful. And now my husband, who seems to have like love blinders on, wants to invite me out on a date. Now feeling insecure about the fact that I look like Freddy Krueger's sister. And I'm also insecure about the fact, what are people gonna think of me out with him? When they say love is blind, I absolutely agree. I can't tell you how many times my husband tells me he doesn't even notice my eczema. It's slightly offensive, right? It actually brings me a lot of insight to what he actually sees when he looks at me. Sometimes I feel comfortable when I'm in my home, but when I have to come out of my house, you know, that's when the intrusive thoughts can begin, especially when you're, you know, dating and it's like, you know, everyone wants to dress up on a date with their spouse or whatever, even with your friends, and you just think, oh man, like, how is the world gonna view me? Attraction is very nuanced. Have you ever met a gorgeous person and they have like this terrible attitude and you're just like instantly like, ew. And then you meet like, you know, Mr. Ugly Duckly, but he has a great personality and it's like, wow, he basically looks like Brad Pitt. You already look not so great and then you act not so great on the date, it's just gonna amplify everything, right? But if you actually just let what's on the inside shine, your spouse is not gonna be seeing that. And that, my friends, that's the secret, okay? If they chose you, if you're their friends, everyone, they're not necessarily looking at that on you, right? So hone into that and just be yourself, live like you don't have it, even though we know we do. Perceive about you, it means very little. It really doesn't matter what everyone thinks about you, like when you go out and people are looking at you, it doesn't matter, because guess what? Are they paying for your date? Are they paying your water bill? Are they paying for all your eczema skincare products? No, they are not. So their opinion means zero. If you have eczema right now, I want you to stop caring what everyone thinks, because they do not pay your bills. And people who don't pay your bills, they don't deserve much of a thought. Comparison is another creeper that comes into relationships. Sometimes we can compare ourselves to one another. And one of my favorite ways to look at comparison is that it's like, if we're in a race, right? People only race when they all meet a certain requirement. So I couldn't race Usain Bolt. That would be an unfair race, okay? I couldn't compare myself. If I were to run a race, okay, I'm not gonna run against Usain Bolt, because that is silly. He is going to win by a landslide. Now, I could wish, hope, and pray and dream of one day being as fast as him, but I never will, and I know that, and I'm completely content with that, all right? And I would never be in that race. That is what we do with comparison. We compare ourselves to other people that have different genetic compositions and all the different things, our relationships, everything to others, but it's an unfair race. The only person you can race against is yourself. I want you to hear me and hear me well. Racing against yourself is the only realistic type of race that one can do, because you are the only person that qualifies to compete with you, because it's a fair race. Think about it. You wouldn't be sad if you ran against the fastest runner in the world and you lost, because you never expected yourself to be able to beat him in the first place. So why do you expect yourself to look like sister so-and-so or look like Mr. So-and-so? It's an unrealistic expectation. Comparison doesn't make sense unless you're comparing yourself to yourself. You know who I compare myself to? Who I was last week, who I was last year. How's my skin doing last year? As long as I'm doing better than I was in the past, I'm winning. If I'm not, we can adjust that. And I don't have to feel bad about that, because that is within my control. Here, oh, my legs are numb from sitting. We're just gonna pause for a second. Oh my gosh, I went numb. Okay, now I'm gonna bring you guys to the part of this that makes me sad, because while there are so many wonderful people in the world, and a lot of us are in great relationships, and a lot of people care, sometimes you have a difficult partner, a difficult family member, a difficult parent, whatever it is, spouse, and they just don't get this eczema thing, okay? They make you feel bad, they make you feel lazy, they make you feel all the bad things, right? And it's my nature, and this has pros and cons. I'm gonna let you get on an insight about me, is that it's easy for me to cut someone off. That's I could do it, but I don't think it's always good to cut people off. But when you put up boundaries with certain people, it can work. We can keep some people in our lives. We can't just cut everybody out. When you are dealing with the difficult partner, the difficult person, you have two options, right? You could cut them off, my favorite option, or you can have boundaries. Here's a list of things I hear difficult people say when it comes to eczema. They'll say things like, you're too lazy. They'll give you unsolicited advice, or they'll treat you with disgust. So in this next segment of the video, I'm gonna tell you about some of the things that someone might say or do if they're a difficult person with your eczema, and how you can respond. Because I think it's all in the response, right? A lot of times we just don't know how to respond when people say or do things about our eczema that hurt. If someone says to you, you know, especially if you're going through topical steroid withdrawal, like, I mean, we're in Freddy Krueger mode. It's a lot of times, I actually had to quit my job at that time when I was going through CSW the first time. I had to quit my job. It can look like you're lazy, right? A lot of times they'll say, you're being lazy, eczema isn't that bad. So the response that I would say for you to say to somebody, if they ever say that to you, is just to smile and nod and say, you know what, that's hurtful, and evidently we can't see eye to eye on this. And leave it at that. You do not need to go into, you know, if you've already done what I said in the, like, of course, you need to educate everybody in your life. You can say, hey, I'd like to educate you about my eczema and let you know, are you interested in that? If they're not interested, then when they say these type of things, you smile, you nod, ouch, that's hurtful, and then you leave it. You leave it, and maybe you take time from that person, right? You don't have to cut them off, although, but you take time from that person, because you are not lazy. Eczema can be so debilitating, especially when it starts to take over your entire body. I mean, gosh, when it was really bad on my hands, I couldn't even walk, like, I couldn't do anything with my hands. Like, anyway. Okay, now, Next one, unsolicited advice. People will want to tell you everything. Like all of a sudden, people think they have a doctorate in eczema when they don't even know the first thing, and it can be very frustrating and very overwhelming, especially when you're doing 1,000,010 things already to make your skin get better. So what you can say to them is you can just tell them, put your hand on their shoulder or whatever and say, you know what, I know you really care. However, this can be very overwhelming for me. But if I need any advice in the future, I'll definitely come to you. And then that's it, right? If they do it again, I know you care. But this can be very overwhelming for me. If I need any advice in the future, I will ask. You keep repeating that exact same sentence a few times, they're gonna get the hint, okay? Next thing is when people treat your eczema with disgust. This one can be disheartening and definitely play on our insecurities, but it kind of goes back to when I say you have to basically lean into the fact you have the eczema. You're gonna call out the expression. The reason you're gonna call out the expression when someone seems disgusted by it is because you actually don't know. So you want to clarify. So if you are going to shake someone's hand, or they're just like, be like, I know this looks really disgusting, doesn't it? Or this is really disgusting, isn't it? You just call it out, okay? Most likely they will catch themselves and be like, no, I actually just, and maybe they'll begin to share with the fact that they don't really understand or those types of things. They'll say, I know this looks very disgusting. However, I'm still me under all of this. I hope you can understand that. And then this can be an opportunity for you to educate them on it. Like if you're flaking, you leave a whole bunch of flakes everywhere and someone just looks like, I know, that's disgusting. And being okay to call it disgusting. I think it's disgusting. There are times I go like this and huge flakes fall from my nose onto, that's disgusting. And it's okay if it's disgusting. I'm okay to say it's disgusting. It's a little embarrassing, but it takes the edge off and it helps the person realize, you know what? It humanizes it. It's not just like lets them see, maybe you want to be a little careful with your responses. And we all get disgusted by things. So not to take it too personal, it's just they don't understand and they don't know. Okay. Final thing that difficult people can do when you have eczema is they can basically treat you like you're overreacting. So for myself, there's a lot of things I can't eat and just different things. And sometimes I might be like, oh yeah, I can't have nuts. And someone in my life might be like, okay, like that's an overreaction. And I will just say to them, I might be overacting, but it's not worth me looking like Freddy Krueger. Thanks for your help though. Okay, it's fine. You just say, listen, maybe I am overreacting, maybe I'm not, but you know what? I'd rather this than that. And you leave it at that, right? So there you have it. This is how I have dealt with my eczema and my relationships over the span of like 40 years. But being in a happy, thriving, healthy marriage, chances are the person you are in a relationship with cares more about you than anything else. I have seen in my DMs, I've seen so many things where it's actually partners messaging, asking, how can I help my partner get through this better, or those types of things. Like usually the people in your life care. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they're jerks, but you just call out the behavior and keep it pushing, right? So I hope that this is very helpful. I know that I can speak this confidently because eczema has actually given me confidence. And I have a video that I dedicated to this because I know there's a lot of negatives for eczema, but truly, I don't think I'd be as confident as I am today if it weren't for my eczema and some of the things I've had to unveil. I haven't been able to hide anymore behind what I look like. I've had to really do the deep work. So if you want to watch that video, how eczema gave me confidence, I'm pretty sure you would love it. Until next time, if you haven't subscribed to The Few, come on, subscribe. I also want to say I just hit 200 subscribers. I am so grateful. You guys are awesome. But if you haven't subscribed, sub down below because no warrior should fight alone. Till next time.